Hi, my name is Jackie Lee Price and welcome to Shadowboxruk. But for those who have just joined us that possibly weren't with us earlier on, first and foremost, let's say hello to delicious Orie. Team GB, super heavyweight. Thank you for giving us your time. So how are you? Yes. Just finished your training session, you were saying, and
Yes.
we were talking about you coming back into training and that there being a little bit of competitive spirit.
Yes.
How has it been being back with your pals, basically, at camp?
It's great, having people that that are, have the same mentality as you when you get back on camp. It's great. Having the same mindset and the same kind of people to push you on. And you can only get better from that, can't you? So yeah, it's great. It's good to be on, back and training again with some great athletes.
Yeah. So yes, and I mentioned earlier on that fantastic physique, proper athlete's body. You were suited to many sports, but you were actually a basketball player before you started boxing. Firstly, how did you get into that, and then why did you make the switch?
So I've always wanted to box. That's something I've always wanted to do since a young child. But I was never really given the opportunity to. Parents didn't really see fit for me. I wasn't an aggressive person. I didn't get involved in fights or anything like that. So it wasn't. I didn't think my parents saw it as a feasible thing for me to get in there and box. But I got involved in basketball. I loved it. I still love it now just as much. I still play. And yeah, growing up, that's what I was able to play, and that's how I was able to build kind of this athlete mindset. Growing up through teenage years of performing well, staying consistent. Obviously, growing up, I didn't know much about eating well, but as I started to get in my later teens, I started to understand the importance of diet, which would help with my performance and stuff like that. So all of that I was able to then transfer to boxing, and I still use now, and even little things like respect for your coaches, the way you speak to other people. Basketball is very much, I'm not sure if you know much about, like, especially in the UK, for example, the basketball scene is very much, you got to respect your coach. There's a lot of respect there. You do what as he says, and you just perform well. Otherwise, you'd be sitting on the bench, watching your other teammates play. So I was able to transfer that into boxing. The switch was when I was 18 years old, because I hit a kind of, not an obstacle, but it was kind of like I just hit a path. I had to choose a path. A point where I had to choose my path, and it was, do I go abroad to carry on playing? Do I stay here and go into university and carry on playing basketball? If that's the case, do I want to take basketball further, or is it something I'm going to do on the side and then just get a full-time, like a full-time job in relation to my degree? And I really thought long and hard about it. And I thought to myself, is there any other sport I can get involved in where I can potentially excel at quickly, and get to a very good level? So I did a lot of research, obviously accompanied by my desire to do boxing initially. I did a lot of research on current boxers who has been able to work hard and work hard over a short space of time and be able to get to a point where they're very recognizable and very respected. So yeah, I decided to give boxing a go with the intent of doing well at it. I didn't just do it to have a go. I just went straight in there. Didn't know the difference between amateur boxing and professional boxing. Just went in there, and I just said I want to be a boxer into an amateur boxing club. And then I got told obviously the difference. I was sat down and talked about the difference, and then obviously I decided to, for the longevity of my decided to take that long and steady road of being an amateur boxer and learning my trade that way. And the mindset is still the same now. It's exactly the same. And the more I'm boxing as an amateur, the more I'm realizing that I actually don't know much about boxing, and I've got a lot to learn. So I'm just just building my knowledge in the sport.
That is fantastic to hear someone that isn't afraid, especially someone of your age, that you're not in a rush. Do you know what I mean? That you want to salivate and, just consume everything there is to learn about the sport, which is brilliant. But I can imagine that, any sport, there were sort of coaches and what's the word I'm looking for? Scouts that probably were approaching you from other sports. Did that happen at all? Just looking at your athleticism.
To be honest, I was growing up. I've always been involved in boxing. In basketball. So I've never really had any scouts or anything from any other sports or anything like that, because I was just so into boxing. I was only surrounding myself in that kind of environment. And it was me who made that initial decision myself to turn to boxing. I didn't know anybody. None of my family members boxed. None of my friends do. So it was my kind of initiative to go and do that. Yeah.
So, no disrespect, you will know that not only did you come into the sport late at 18, you did make your way through the ranks, or you have made your way through the ranks pretty quickly, haven't you, in respect to most people's journey. Talk to me about, you get there, you get into... You're from Wolves, aren't you?
Wolverhampton, yeah.
Yeah, is that where you train, or do you train in Birmingham now?
I train in Birmingham, but I live in Wolverhampton.
So
when I went to university, I lived there. So technically, I lived in Birmingham. I still live in Birmingham, but I'm up and down through Wolverhampton. But
so talk to me about, you go to the gym, and people must have told you, well, that's a pretty quick journey from starting to where you are now on Team GB. So just talk me briefly through that process. I think the only person that's done it that quickly is Anthony Joshua.
And like I was saying, I did the research, sat down, 18 years old, I thought of, is it possible? Can I do it? And obviously I did my research and watched, fighters like Anthony Joshua, who's a massive inspiration to me. Joe Joyce, for example, is another big example and inspiration as well. And watching these guys do it from a late age, these guys are naturally athletic. All it takes is mindset. Obviously, I say it like it's easy. Mindset, it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to grasp. But if you have it, you have it. And I thought, I believed in myself. And I said, you know what? If they can do it, why can't I do it? I'm not being arrogant. I know that it took hard work, and it still takes hard work now. But why can't I achieve that? You've got to be honest with yourself, obviously. But if you just work hard and stay consistent at it, nothing else matters. So that was my mentality, and still my mentality now. I know I started late, I know that. But I also, before I started, I said, when I do this, I'm not going to waste time. Yeah. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this properly, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to mess myself around, because you don't mess around with boxing, and obviously I'm finding that out now. Yeah. Don't mess around with boxing. Either do it or you don't do it, or you don't get involved, because you're just going to get hurt. Obviously, boxing's great for recreation, fitness and stuff like that. But if you want to compete and take it to another level, you've got to be real, and you've got to be serious. You've got to be honest with yourself. Can you stay consistent? Can you do it? So yeah, that was the bottom line. I think for me, I was honest with myself, and I believed in myself too. So
beautiful. I remember seeing you at the Elites in Manchester. I think it was Manchester 2019 when you won, and I don't know if you know that I am actually a coach on the England side of things. So so I kind of was like, here's this kid who's 18. I thought, were you 18 at the time? No, you weren't 18. You were a little bit older. No, I was 20. What, are you 22 now or something?
I'm 23 now.
Oh, okay. But 2019, I just remember you walking into the ring and there being a confidence about you that I was like, there's something special about this kid. And then you beat the kid from Hodbox to then obviously go on and win the championships. Was there a point where, I know you're on Team GB, but was there a point where quite early on you thought, do you know what, I've actually got the tools to make this work?
Yes, I've always believed that, but then when I started, it was different to now. When I started, I wasn't ignorant, but I was naive to it. Was naive. Before I started boxing, I thought, yeah, I can do it, no problem. I can take anyone on. But when you start, you become humbled. You really become humbled. I'm being humbled here.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've always known I've had the potential, the tools, but it's different. Back then it was more, oh yeah, I could take anyone. Now it's with hard work and dedication and consistency and inspiring these, top guys and athletes, then I can also do it. And so it's different. Same but different. It is.
Do you know what? Do you know what you struck me when I saw you as being someone that you don't come across as arrogant. So that's the first thing. It's almost like just a quiet, confident knowing. So when David Hay was a teenager and he would say, "I'm going to be a world champion," it was just a fact. It was just like, that's what I'm doing. He knew with every fibre of his being that that's what was going to happen. And I get the sense that you're the same type of character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I do.
And what I really love, obviously, you've got the great tools, you've got the long jab, you're rangy, beautiful. I can imagine they were salivating when you joined Team GB.
I hope so. I don't know. I'm just doing my thing, training and making sure that I'm better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
I hope I'm impressing others, and but at the end of the day, I'm just doing my thing, and I'm just looking up always.
There's a hierarchy, isn't there? You're the baby super heavyweight. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, you're correct.
If that the two things don't seem to go together.
Like you said, I'm learning. I'm an apprentice.
Nice.
I'm just, I'm learning basically. I know that boxing takes time to grasp. I'm learning from top athletes. Fraser Clark, who's actually here. I'm with him now. And the learning from him is a great thing, great experience. Learning from AJ as well. All these people.
Yeah.
Are here. Well, they're not here to take me to another level, but I can use these guys.
Yeah.
Take me to another level. Do you know what I mean? And they're always happy to help. But I'm lucky to be surrounded by these kind of people, because that's the only way I can get to the. I need to. That's the only way you can get to another level. If you use the people with the same mindset, where we all use each other.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer in all that.
Yeah. So I did an interview with Fraser, and he was talking about the people coming up underneath him, and he's got that mindset of, we're friends, but at the end of the day, I'm doing what I need to do to stay on the team. But these kids that are coming up are younger and hungry. They want my spot. So in that respect, I know you're aiming for 2024, the 2024 Olympics, but if an opportunity came up, God forbid, please, Fraser, don't take this the wrong way, but say you were consistently doing, incredibly well, would there be an opportunity then for you to go to the Olympics next year, or is it literally the game plan is 2024?
Well, obviously, like you were saying, the next year's it's Fraser's turn. Fraser's the big man. He's the one who's going to be up there and winning that medal. For me, I just do what the coaches think is right at the right time. The GB coaches, my coach, if they think it's the right time for me to get in there, or it doesn't matter what competition is, then I respect my coaches. That if that's the right time, that's when I'm gonna compete. But for me personally, I just look to improve from yesterday. That is it for me. But if my coaches believe that this is a step up, which I work towards anyway, then why not? I'll never look down or shy down from any challenge or anything like that, because that's the only way you can progress, and that's my number one aim. As long as I'm progressing, that's the one important to me. But as far as next year, the Olympics next year, that's big phrase. It's his turn. It's his thing, man. He's gonna smash it.
Yeah. So what happens? Let's say the situation that's going on now with amateur boxing, right? We're all missing it. Jeez, we're all missing it. I know the team went away last week or the week before for sort of training camp and stuff. But if we carried on going the way that we're going, right, making it hard for competitions, we still don't know if Tokyo 21 is going to go ahead. If someone started waving some money in front of you, would you consider turning over? But taking into account all of that other stuff.
No way, 100%, no way, single way, not even thinking about it. That's the short answer for you.
That is so good.
No way. Yeah, no way. I'm here to stay basically as an amateur and to learn. I know the importance of learning. I understand the importance of learning. I don't want to. Well, of course, I'll always learn on the job, even when I turn pro, whenever years to come. But I want to, when I turn pro, whatever it is, I want to be ready for it. And start at 18. I'm not ready. Well, I'm not ready for it really. So I'm learning, and I'm here to stay as an amateur boxer, and basically achieve my dream, which is to be able to represent Great Britain. That's the thing I've got to tick off the list before anything. So I'm here to stay as an amateur boxer. I know a lot of people have asked me this, and I always say the same thing. I'm here to learn, and to do that, I need to be a well-seasoned amateur boxer first. And I look in the future. I look at myself as a textbook, proper professional fighter. In order to do that, I have to get them grimy years, them years where I'm learning, and it's hard. I get hard spars, stuff like that. So definitely staying amateur. That's my. I can't even see where the pros are or anything like that.
I'm not saying that you would be looking at the pros, but I'm guessing there are people from the pros looking at you, and they would have seen you from way back and gone, we would love to have a piece of that, because but I respect you, completely respect you for taking your time, and like you're saying, enjoying the process, enjoying learning, not rushing, because to be fair, heavyweights and super heavyweights, they mature later anyway, don't they?
Yeah, that's correct as well. That's what I've been told by coaches, and obviously you can see from past fighters as well. Heavier weights tend to mature later, and I haven't matured yet 100%. So I've got my feet firmly in the ground as an amateur boxer.
Beautiful.
And I'm very excited. I haven't even fought internationally properly yet, so I'm not even thinking about anything to do with turning pro. So yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that. I really, really, really am. So you talked about AJ though earlier on. Have you sparred him, and do you get any little pearls of wisdom from the big man?
100%. I've done some technical rounds with him.
Nice.
I did some last week, and that was great. Absolutely great. I learned so much of that little time that we had. But not even that. It's the outside the ring. Like I said, before I started boxing, he was the man I looked at.
Yeah.
He did so much research on him. Felt the connection. He's Nigerian. I'm half Nigerian. I'm still in there.
You stalked him. That's what you did.
Yeah. the ring. So I did the research, and even the way he comes across on TV and stuff like that, is humble, and he gives advice, and he's like that in person as well. It's great to have someone who's inspirational to you, be like that to you in person as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, be what you expected him to be in person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I heard somebody, I don't know who told me this, but someone said, don't get your hopes up if you meet someone who inspires you, because they might, not be the type of person you think they are. But AJ is basically the type of person I thought he was, and he isn't.
And he is.
Humble, down to earth. Jokes about, but at the same time, if you want to ask him something, and if you want to ask some advice, he's there. Do you know what I mean? He'll always. And the thing is, as well, he will ask questions as well. He'll ask me questions, and I'm like, oh, he's asking me a question. Do you know what I mean?
He's a human being.
Yeah. Like, that's not meant to happen. I'm meant to be asking you questions.
But isn't that? But think about that for a second, right? Number one, you could rush and go over into the pro scene because you'd be a PR darling, right? But you've chosen, quite rightly, thank the Lord, to stay an amateur. And you recognise, look at all those people that you're surrounded by. You talked about Fraser Clark. I'm sure, were you there when Buatsi was there, or did you come after?
No, I came much after.
But do you know him?
Yeah, he comes. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Look at all those people.
Again, another thing about Joshua.
Oh,
again, another one, another very, very inspirational.
Class.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love him. He's a great guy in person, and he's a savage in the ring. Just that perfect boxing combination. Yeah. There's another person that I really look up to as well.
But imagine that though, as well. Like I say, if you turn over, you could get it, but you're already soaking up all that experience. There's no reason to rush that, is there? Really?
No, 100%. No. Like I always say, you can't rush it, especially in boxing. It's too dangerous to be rushing. I'm not here to take any massive uncalculated risks. I'm here to learn to the sweet science of boxing, and I feel like the place you can really do that is amateur at a high level, which is what I'm in now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Very, very grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah. And you talked briefly about you being half Nigerian, but what people probably don't know is you're half Russian as well, or you are Russian. Would you class yourself as Russian or British or both?
Both. Yes. But yeah, I was born in Russia. I came here at the age of 7 years old. So yeah, I've got Russian family. So yeah, all over the world.
And you speak Russian and all. I don't know why I'm surprised by that, but I'm just like, that's amazing.
Yes, I can, but it's faded away over the years. Obviously, it's my first language, and I was able to speak it fluently. I couldn't stop me from speaking, but it's faded away just a little bit. So I can understand 100% of it. My mom would speak to me in Russian and stuff, and I'll be able to, probably about 75%. I can hold a conversation, but it won't be as articulate. Do you know what I mean? It won't be flowing. It will just be like, "Hi, how are you? I went to shops today," and do you know what I mean? So yeah, well, I can fully understand it though.
Yeah.
To be honest though, I'm using this time here on camp to be able to expand my kind of Russian vocabulary. But obviously, so much time in between sessions that I'm able to do different things, like obviously expand on Russian and read books and stuff like that. So
nice.
Another massive advantage of me being up here. I couldn't be in any better place.
Yeah. So talk to me about your time in Russia. You say you came here at 7 years of age. I can imagine, number one, you come here, you're a mixed race guy and you speak Russian. So talk to me about your childhood in Russia, just briefly. What was that like? And then all of a sudden you come over here and it's like, oh my God, there's a Russian black man. Just like, talk to me about that. I'm not laughing at you, by the way.
No, I remember my childhood very well, growing up in Russia. Obviously, I remember, not fitting in exactly. It's obviously densely Russians, white people. But as a kid, you don't really see that much. It's not, like people say, you're not born racist. Do you know what I mean? So I never really, obviously I felt different. I'm a different skin color, but I didn't feel really out of place because I had friends. I went to kindergarten and stuff like that. I spoke the language well. Obviously my mom's Russian. I got family that's Russian that loved me. So it's like it wasn't a hard upbringing, but I could tell that things were different for me. And my dad obviously as well. My dad obviously could speak fluent Russian, but I could tell that he stood out a lot. So yeah, it's great, and I still go there once in a while, to catch up with family and stuff. But yeah, coming here, and obviously it was a completely different. It's like a massive change, then all of a sudden you seeing people that are like you a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And but again, I had to switch from Russian to English. That was another kind of obstacle. But as a kid, you could quickly pick up languages and stuff. So I remember growing up, year 3, year 4, year 5. It was a massive change. I had to quickly adapt and change. But in terms of the people, obviously I relate to them more because my dad's black. My dad's African, and this guy is dad's African, and it's kind of like we've got something in common. So yeah, things were different, but I guess it was different in a good way.
Yeah. To be honest, that's what I was actually thinking. There's so much to you, not just your boxing. The fact that you're Russian, the fact that you're studying as well, aren't you? What are you studying?
I've just graduated. I graduated in July, so I studied economics and management.
Wow.
That's just that.
Sorry, go on. No, you go.
That was another thing that obviously, growing up in Russia, it wasn't easy. Well, obviously for me as a child, you don't really feel it, but obviously my parents said they were going through some hardship. My dad was, lack of opportunity there, for a black man, especially in those times in the late 90s, early 20s, early 2000s. So, you feel it as a kid a little bit. You feel your parents struggle a little bit as a kid. So yeah, well, growing up here, it was like a breath of fresh air, and as well, I feel like there's a lot more. Well, obviously growing up here, I've always thought to myself, there's a lot of opportunity here in the UK.
Yeah.
And that's obviously one of the main reasons my mum and dad come over here to be able to give me that opportunity to do whatever I want to do. And I've always had that in my mind growing up from a very young child. I've always, in my mind, knew, I've never told myself that. In my mind, though, I knew that, obviously you've seen these guys, seen on TV, you've seen mixed race guys, you've seen black guys, you've seen Asian guys, you're thinking, if these guys can do it, there's a lot more opportunity here in the UK to be able to be whatever you want to be. And I've always had that thing in my mind that I was going to go to university anyway. My parents have kind of ingrained it in me. I have to go to university. Go. So that has always been kind of, there's no way I'm not going to university. But so from a kid, that was just like a thing I was going to do anyway. So. Yeah.
Was there a payoff? So it was like, okay, you can do boxing if you go to university.
Oh, you mean?
Did your parents kind of go, you can't do that unless you do this? In a good way.
When I turned 18, I was obviously, I don't know if you know how it is with African parents. My dad was strict, obviously growing up. But I remember when I turned 18, he was starting to give me a little bit more leeway and to give me a bit more decision in what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
I think my dad started to see that I'm growing up, and I was getting good grades at school and stuff like that, so I was sensible, etc. So I decided that that was on my own initiative. I never needed my dad's verification to do boxing. But I didn't blackmail them or anything. I I personally wanted to go to uni, and then I just took on boxing again. It was all personal initiative. To do it myself anyway. So no, I didn't blackmail them.
No, I meant them blackmailing you, so you can't box unless you go to uni.
No, I didn't. I mean, there was, you know what? There was struggle at the start, especially with my dad. My mom was a little bit more open-minded about whatever I'm gonna do. She's like, DJ, delicious, do whatever you want to do as long as it makes you happy. My dad's a little bit different. You know, you've got to do this. You've got to make sure it goes to uni again. You know, and obviously he's only doing it because he loves me and stuff like that. So, but I had to let him know that, you know, I felt something, you know, within that this is what I wanted to do, which is boxing. And Dad was like, how are you going to be able to balance the both? And I don't know how I managed to, but I just stuck through it. I just did it, you know. So yeah.
That was one of the questions that I was going to ask you, is how, because that's a lot to study and then train 3 times a day. Was there a part of you that, I mean, I don't know, did the drive come from, I'm going to prove that I can do this, I can do the both, and I can do it well?
Yeah, the drive came from, it sounds bad, because I know my dad loves me.
Yeah.
He supports me, he's always supported with everything, he still supports me to this day, he's an amazing man. But, you know, at the start he didn't really want me to box, you know, and one of the things that really drove me was to prove him wrong. You know, I'm quite a stubborn guy. I like to kind of, I'll prove you wrong. You know, I kind of like haters sometimes because like, yeah, I'll prove you wrong. Don't worry about it. You know. So my dad, that's one thing. I wanted to prove my dad wrong, and that was there's obviously more to that, but that was one of the kind of motivational factors there. So it was difficult. Looking back now, I think to myself, how the hell did I do that? Especially last year and, you know, second year and stuff. But it was a lot of trial and error. It was I had to make sure I could be flexible and change things at the right time, and obviously sacrifice. You know, I didn't really have much of a social life. Didn't go out at all. Saw my flat because I lived out, so I didn't really see my flatmates. They would always go to parties and stuff like that, and they'll be drinking and smoking and stuff. And they'll be like, DJ, I think some might be in the chat actually. In the so, they'll be like, DJ, how do you you know, how are you able to do it? Because I'll come back from a lecture, I'll be in a library after my, you know, I'll probably have done 1 or 2 sessions already. I'll get back, they'll be partying in the kitchen, whatever, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'll change, get my hoodie. It'll be cold sometimes. I get my hoodie, I'll go out and run. I'll always go out on the same road in Birmingham City Centre, and I'll just do the same thing over and over and over again. I just stay consistent. I just did the same thing over and over. It didn't change. I didn't change nothing. It was just wake up, study, train. Wake up, study, train, go to sleep, eat. It was just that. Yeah. It was just that. And looking back now, I couldn't have done it without my parents, you know, because I didn't really have time to cook. Didn't have time to stuff like do the washing and stuff. My mom was always there to help me.
Lie.
Always, at the end of the week,
you just use that as an excuse, you liar.
At the end of the week, I'll come back home. I'll drop all my washing. My mom will give me packs of food to take for the next week. My dad would give me money. He says, do you need money, you know, to help? Because, you know, I only had at the time obviously just student finance money. That was it. Couldn't work. Well, obviously at the time university and boxing, so it was just my dad's support, my mom's support, and that was the only way I was able to excel. But obviously my dad and mom, they saw the drive and passion, and decided to stick with it. And yeah, I could never ever repay them, you know, for what they've done and what they continue to do, but I can only just, you know, do as much as I can.
You are an absolute credit to your parents. You really are. That's the first thing. You're an absolute credit to them. Secondly, you hear people use the word role model freely. You really are a role model as to the discipline. And it does take... See, the thing is, something has to be sacrificed when you're trying to get from A to B to Z, okay? And sometimes people don't understand, do they? They don't. Your friends don't understand, etc. But for you to have that mindset at such a young age and be so consistent, you know, I would call you not only a role model, you're an inspiration. You really are.
That means a lot.
Seriously, you know, people think about, I don't know, think of it as inspirational people as being older. You know, I take inspiration from you because I know what it's like to put my head down and your friends are out and then your friends stop calling, because I'm sure you experienced that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, they think...
Go on, sorry.
Like they think it's easy to... You know, they'll be like, oh, you know, would you like to go out for a meal, you know, during uni? And I wouldn't be able to do something simple as going out to a restaurant at 8 o'clock at night because I have to run or I have to sleep early because I got sparring in the morning and stuff like that. So it was very, very difficult. But, you know, I didn't really think of the hardship then.
Yes.
I still don't, obviously, I'm probably going through difficulties now, but I don't think of that.
Yeah.
The hardship. Then, you know, it was definitely, like, life then was definitely much more demanding and harder than it is now. It's still hard now, and I'm still pushing hard now. But to be able to balance university work as well, it was difficult. And there was times where, you know, I felt like I was breaking down. You know, I had to stay up to 3, 4 a.m. to revise for an exam, to then train and keep it consistent. Do you know what I mean? Yes, Fraser. All right. Yeah, that's just Fraser. Come on.
Hello, Fraser.
Shadowbox. He's gonna come through now. But don't worry, I'll be talking very good about you.
He's been slaughtering you. Hello, hey, how you doing? Look at you.
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. You looking well?
Good. Yeah.
So you are. This kid here, that kid here. What an inspiration! He is an inspirational young man.
He's doing absolutely amazing. We're bringing each other on. It's wicked.
No, it's nice. It's good.
I'm going through it, but good to speak. I'll speak soon.
Yeah, you take care, my darling. Said, you take care. Big
phrase.
Yeah, big phrase. It's great that you two share, do you?
Yeah. You know what? Because I've been sharing that for a couple of weeks now, and honestly, it's great. Just having him here. Sometimes we just talk about competition and stuff like that, and how he's done it over the years. And I'm just sitting here, I'm just soaking it all up. Do you know what I mean? Just soaking all that information and having all this advice, man. It's all for free. It's absolutely priceless. You know, for where I want to go and what I want to do, it's absolutely priceless. So yeah, it's great. You know, like I say, couldn't be in a better place right now in the world.
So if you had a few words for any aspiring amateur boxers, or even actually professional boxers, you know, what would they be? Yeah, what would they be? Wow, I'm so impressed.
Can you say that again? Sorry, I didn't get that.
If you had any sort of inspirational words to give amateur boxers or professional boxers, what would they be?
I would say, you know what, because I do some work with the youth in Hereford Boxing Club. Is one of the clubs in here in England, obviously. And I always tell the youth, the most important thing is you have to believe in yourself. That's the only. You can go in the gym and jab, and you can throw a jab and you can do a training session, but if you don't believe and if you don't set a goal and you believe that you're going to get that goal, you will not get that goal. You're not going to at all. Doesn't matter what you do. My sister as well. She's 13 and she wants to do athletics now. She's getting into athletics, and I tell her the same thing. It's not just boxing. I feel like it's all the same thing really. You've got to believe in yourself. Once you have that belief in your heart, no one can stop you. Even if you have a bad day, bad sparring day, doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? And you've seen it, looking at it that way positively, and you will excel. And I'm still doing it till this day. And now I won't stop until I become world champion. That is as simple as that. So yeah.
I can't wait to see your future unfold. I really can't. I really can't. It's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. What a lovely human being. You're taking everything in your stride. You're confident without being arrogant. You're humble. You're a credit to your parents. And I got all tearful then.
Thank you. That's too nice. That's too nice. Thank you very much.
So listen, thank you so much for giving us your time. Go and get some rest. And
yes. I'm a bit hungry. I haven't eaten yet, you know. I was doing my hair and stuff, having a shower to get ready for live. I haven't even eaten. See all these sacrifices I'm making.
Listen, we appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Go and have a protein drink. But yeah, just keep working hard. We keep working hard. Yeah, loving the journey. Can't wait for more, to be honest with you. Can't wait for more.
Thank you. It will all come with time. All about time. It will all come with time. My mom says there's time for everything.
Absolutely.
She's got a very simple quote, but I'm firm believer in that.
If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber of Shadowboxruk UK, we'd love to see you, so please go ahead and subscribe now.